In this activity, you are going to pretend to be a carbon atom and you are going to travel through the carbon cycle in a pick your own adventure activity. So, the first thing I want to show you is the graphic organizer that I created for you to help you record all the stops on your journey through the carbon cycle. So, if you choose to use this graphic organizer, what need to do is go to File and then click Make a Copy so that way you can have a copy to edit and record all the different stops you make through the carbon cycle. I'm going to explain how to travel through the carbon cycle in just a moment, but what you're going to do is you're going to in this table, you're going to include the name of the location or the carbon sink that you start in. And then you're going to describe what happens to the carbon at that location. And then tell me the next place you go and what happens to the carbon, and so on. Altogether, you're going to be traveling through 6 different locations in the carbon cycle, or 6 different carbon sinks in the carbon cycle. So, how to pick your own adventure through the carbon cycle? What you're going to do is you're going to open up these Google Slides. And once it loads, you need to click the Present button. Okay. So it will pull up 10 different starting locations to choose from. You can select any of these 10, but I am going to pick location number 1. All right, and my location is Cole. So in my graphic organizer, I would, in the name of the location, my starting location, I would put Cole. So in order to find out what happens to that carbon atom and where it goes next, you can pick on any one of these slides here. So what you're going to do is you're going to click the hyperlink on it. This is why you need to be in presentation mode, because otherwise the hyperlinks won't work. So if you click on that, it brings you to the next location. So what I can do in my graphic organizer is I can just copy what it says here on the slide as written. Okay, so coal remains deep underground as a carbon sink. So in my graphic organizer, I would copy what that slide says right here. And then it tells me to stay at coal. So my next stop would be coal again. So once I'm here, I'll now click on the hyperlink again, and it will bring me back to this slide, and I'm going to pick a different location this time. Okay, so now it tells me that coal is burned as a fossil fuel, and so I would copy this right into my graphic organizer, and my next stop would be the atmosphere. And I click on atmosphere, and it brings me to the atmosphere, and I want to find out what happens to the carbon in the atmosphere, and I can just click on any one of these to find out what would happen to the carbon, and then to find out where it goes next. Once I get through at least 6 total locations, it's okay if you repeat locations, but you need to get through at least 6 locations. So your starting place plus 5 more places. You're going to post in the discussion board your pathway. So I wrote an example here. So first the carbon was in coal. Next the coal was burned and the carbon went into the atmosphere. After that, the carbon was taken in through plants through photosynthesis. So you're going to just really just name the places that you went to and what happened to the carbon at each place. You can just copy whatever you wrote in this graphic organizer here. You need to do this first part by midnight tonight. This is worth 6 points, okay, of the 10 for your initial post. It's due by midnight. By your next remote day, you need to respond to 2 other classmates. You need to compare the pathway that you took through the carbon cycle with 2 other classmates. So this is why I suggest you keep your graphic organizer, so that way when you are looking at other classmates' pathways, you can easily find and refer back to what your pathway was. So what some things you can say to your classmates is you can say, I noticed that both of our pathways were similar, except that that dot dot dot. Or you can say something like, you and I had very different pathways because, and explain some of the differences in your pathway. You need to respond to the 2 other classmates by your next remote day. So if you're in cohort A, that would be Thursday this week, midnight. And if you're in cohort B, that would be Tuesday next week by midnight. Your responses to 2 other classmates are worth 2 points each, so altogether the assignment is worth 10 points. If you have any questions, please send me an email.